Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about cutting cords of attachment. Cords of attachment are invisible, energetic ties that connect us to people, places, and things, and even situations. These cords can be a positive or negative, but they can all drain us, our energy, and keep us from moving forward. In this video, I'm going to show how to identify and cut cords of attachment. I'll share some tips for healing and moving on. Welcome back. If this is your first time here, I'm Samantha Vidal of empoweredintention.com. I'm a women's spiritual empowerment coach who helps empower empaths to awaken their spirit by dissolving and releasing energetic blocks to access inner peace, build self-trust with your intuition, and create the life you love and deserve. So what are cords of attachment? Cords of attachment are invisible energetic ties that connect us with other people, places, things, even situations. These cords can be positive or negative, but they can all drain our energy and keep us from moving forward. The degree of the attachment is based on how close of a heart connection you have and how much time you've spent with somebody or something. So that can be if you've met somebody in a grocery store, you create an energetic tie, but it'll be like a fine hair, and that's easy to cut and clear quickly. But if you have somebody who's, like a family member who you have a heart connection with, that will take much more work to cut the cords with them because those cords, those fine hairs, now wrap together and build a thicker rope. So over time, you'll need to cut cords a little bit more often with a heart connection. Cords of attachment can form in a number of ways, but some of the most common reasons include unresolved emotional issues. If we have unresolved emotional issues from the past, such as anger, resentment, or grief, these can create cords of attachment that keep us bound to the past, bound to a person, place, or thing. And then there's codependency. If we are codependent, we can have cords of attachment to people who are just not good for us. So we have, and again, that ends up being that heart connection that is harder to break. And so there's different degrees of how much core cutting you need to do with those, again, with those heart connections. Fear, if we are afraid of being alone or rejected, we may have cords of attachment to people or things that give us a sense of security. And that is also connected with codependency. So again, you want to go through and do some cord cutting to take some extra time with that. And the next one is trauma. So if we've experienced any kind of trauma, we may have cords of attachment to the people or places associated with the trauma. And those, again, will take a little bit more effort to clear those and cut those cords. What are the signs of a cord of attachment? There are a number of signs that may indicate that we have a cord of attachment. Some of the most common signs include feeling drained or exhausted after being around other people, or in certain situations, feeling like you can't move on from the past, from past relationships or experiences, feeling stuck in a cycle of negative thoughts or emotions, having difficulty setting boundaries with others, feeling resentful or angry towards others, feeling like are always giving and never receiving. How to cut cords of attachment. If you think you have a cord of attachment, there are a number of things that we can do to cut them. First, you want to identify the cord. The first step is identifying the cord of attachment. What is it attached to? Who is it attached to? And once you've identified the cord, you can begin to release it. To set your intention, before you begin to cut the cord, set an intention. What do you want to achieve by cutting the cord? Do you want to feel more free? Do you want to move on from the past? 3, visualize the cord. Closing your eyes and visualize the cord of attachment. See it as a physical cord that connects to you and to the person or thing you are attached to. And what I like to do is visualize both of you in white light, both you and whatever the person, place, or situation thing is. visualize in white light. I always like to ask for assistance for calling in my spiritual healing guiding protection teams to assist us for both sides so that we're both in a good place while we're doing this. And we have the assistance. I also like to ask for Archangel Michael to come and assist with his golden sword or with golden scissors to facilitate the cutting of the cord. Number 4, cut the cord. Imagine yourself taking a pair of scissors, cutting the cord, and as you do, you can say to yourself, I release the cord of attachment. And again, like I was saying, you can either do it yourself or you can visualize Archangel Michael coming in if you feel like you need extra protection, because sometimes certain cords can be feeling more difficult to work through on your own. And so it's always nice to have part of your spirit team or all of your spirit team assisting you in doing that, and on the opposite side as well. Number 5, you want to seal the wound. So once you've cut the cord, imagine yourself sealing the wound with white light on both ends and sending love and light. This will help to prevent the cord from reforming. And also, you can feel very open afterwards on both ends and feel very depleted if you do leave it open. So it's really important to seal both ends with white light or golden light and sending it with love. Because regardless of what the circumstances, in my opinion, you always send love to it so that everybody goes away feeling better than they started off. Number 6, forgive. Forgiveness is an important part of healing from the cord of attachment. Forgive yourself for any mistakes you've made and forgive the other person or the situation as well for any of the mistakes they have made so that you're no longer holding on to that and recreating another cord. So by forgiving is releasing both of you. It's not to say that you're forgetting. If someone has hurt you in a certain way, it means you're not going to go and repeat it with them. And that's the reason for not forgetting. But forgiving is to release everybody from having to that cord of attachment and keep repeating patterns. And number 7, moving on. Once you've cut the cord, it's important to move on. Don't dwell on the past, focus on the present and the future. So just keep moving forward. And that's also going back to what we were talking about earlier, is that as you forgive, you may not forget, just to not repeat the pattern, but not to dwell on it. So there's a difference in that, because that can keep it open. So it's just knowing that, okay, maybe this person is not good for me. So I'm not going to forget that this person is not good for me. So I don't want to recreate that circumstance again. So that's part of moving on. So some tips for healing and moving on, practicing self-care. When you are going through the process of cutting cords of attachment, it's important to take care of yourself, get enough sleep, eat healthy foods, and exercise regularly. Do a lot of grounding exercises just to keep you grounded and in your space. I would also recommend surrounding yourself with a bubble of protection, the mirror ball of protection, only allowing love and light to flow freely in and out, and everything else is returned to the sender in whatever way is in the highest and best for them to receive it back. That just keeps you protected from anything coming at you, especially if you're feeling vulnerable, because cord cutting can make you feel vulnerable and still kind of open. So it is important to do a lot of that to really reboost and boost your vibration so that you're feeling optimal. The next is to meditate and journal. Meditation and journaling can help you process the emotions, release any negative energy. So it really is important to take that time to do that, because there may be things that were patterns that connected you with those circumstances. And by meditating and journaling, you become aware of what those were. So then you're not repeating them again. So that's really important to create awareness for yourself. And then lastly, seeking support. So if you're struggling to cut cords of attachment on your own, seek support from a therapist, a counselor, a spiritual advisor, a coach. And we can always help you work through doing the cords of attachment and helping to release those and any of the emotional release that you may need to do so that you're feeling supported while you're doing it. It's really important that you feel that support. So cutting cords of attachment is a really powerful way to release negative energy and move on from the past. If you're feeling stuck in a cycle of negative thoughts or emotions, I encourage you to try this technique. Do you remember that when you are doing the heart connection cord cutting, that you do want to really be clear of your intention of a specific incident when you're going in there, unless there's the whole circumstance with someone has been negative. But it's really important to go in and remove the cords of attachment. And with, of course, with a heart connection, you may have to go in several times because you've had a longer time with that person. So there may be more cords you need to cut over time with them. So just being aware and also sending love and light to both sides so that you're both feeling healed energy. So I remember when I was a kid, I was about 2 or 3. My family, I remember sitting on the beach with my mom, and this was my grandparents' cottage, and my uncle was in the water, and I picked up some sand. I was throwing it in the sand because I liked watching it plunk in the water. And somehow, I don't know if I did it on purpose or whether it was by accident, but I ended up hitting him with the sand, and he kind of turned around. Now, I don't know, at that age, I couldn't interpret his reaction, whether it was being joking like he was upset or whether he was truly upset. I could not interpret. But the 2-year-old, 3-year-old, I took it as, oh, this wasn't good. This is danger. Person's upset. So from that point, that made me afraid of him. But in actuality, as I grew up, I knew that I didn't need to be afraid of him. But that's what I had learned at that age. So I was always cautious about doing things that might upset him. But I learned over time that I could joke around and that would be okay. But I needed to cut the cords so that it would remove that fear of that between that 3-year-old and the adult of when you do something, you're going to be in this big danger. And that's one of the cords I needed to cut. So it's not to say that you're going to forget that circumstance, but it won't hold that strength over you and keep playing out. So just remembering that's why it's important to go in and fine tune those cord cutting and being aware of what you're going in with intention. I hope this video has been helpful. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. And thank you for watching. Much love. Until next time.